Rachel and I, you know what? I don't even know how you found Safe Heart Connections, if it was online or somebody invited you, but
It
you've
was
been in
on
the community.
Facebook. It was one of those, hey, you seem to like things like this and you seem to want to build your
Okay.
life together. So,
Yeah, and so you've been part of the community for over a year now, I think, and you've done some things. You've attended a couple of the virtual things, and you've just been on this journey, and you decided that the life that you've decided you want to be part of the solution in the world and helping people come out of some of the things. And so you're coaching yourself, becoming a coach, and I am just so excited to be on this journey with you. And I'm looking forward to what you have to say. So take it away. And ladies, the drill, just put the comments, questions in the chat. And after Rachel's done, we will have a chance to do some Q&A with her.
all right. So thank you, Sam, so much. Yes, this is week one of my new venture. And it actually came from my father passing away and me just saying, enough is enough. Your time is limited. To what extent, we don't know, but it's limited. So, and then coming back into work and not feeling like it was appreciated that I worked my hardest in those times when it's okay. You're supposed to be making a difference and you're supposed to be out there and you're supposed to be telling your story. And so I hope that's what I can do for you guys today. And I hope it can resonate with just anyone here in any sort of way. And just listen for dirty laundry because that is my full circle moment and it will come across in the funniest way. And I promise you that. So I'm going to start by asking you to reflect on this question. What if the hardest moments of your life were actually the ones that prepared you for the greatest blessings that you were meant to receive? To me, that's a question that seems almost impossible to understand. In those really hard moments, my first thought is, why me? Why does this have to happen to me? And I know that feeling all too well. When everything feels heavy, when I'm drowning in my fear, confusion, or hurt, gratitude feels like the last thing on my mind. But over time, I've realized something really big. And that's that in those most difficult seasons is when you come across and you discover what you truly have to be thankful for. So, gratitude isn't always about the good things happening in our lives, it's about what we make of the challenges that we have. In those hard times, we can either choose to let the pain define us, or we can choose to see the small but powerful blessings that lie underneath the surface. Gratitude can shift our perspective, even when everything around us seems to be falling apart. Gratitude gives us the lens through which we can see our pain and turn it into something that will ultimately empower us. So, to illustrate this, I want to share a piece of my own journey with you, and it's a bit of a ride. So, for the past 12 years, I found myself trapped in a cycle of an abusive and inconsistent relationship. I kept telling myself I could just make it work. I could give my children that family that I didn't have, two parents, stable, and a house filled with love. But I had to learn over and over that happy families aren't built on staying together at any cost. They are built on healthy relationships, mutual respect, and love. The belief that enduring suffering will not keep a family together. So in 2018, I experienced physical abuse that nearly took my life. And my children were there and they saw everything. This was a really defining moment because it forced me to confront a reality that I couldn't ignore anymore. Now that law enforcement was involved, I had no choice but to remove myself from the situation. That moment marked the end of one chapter of my life and the beginning of another, one that I had to face alone, but one that gave me the chance to rediscover what really mattered. I had to lean into gratitude for my safety, for the chance to rebuild my family, and for the love and support of those who helped me along the way. And that looked like the smallest things. My boss gave me $20 to buy some pizza and get a lock on my door. And she bought me a few pairs of pants when I got pregnant, and I just couldn't afford to buy myself clothes. So those really small moments really stick out to me in this period. And so over those next 3 years, when he came back into my children's lives, I was able to co-parent with him. And I was determined I would never return to that situation. But as happens many times, I did. I returned to that situation again. In 2021, something happened in my life that was a severe trauma. And I found myself sick, emotionally drained, and unable to function, let alone take care of 3 children by myself. And in that vulnerability, in that headspace that I was in, this person came back into my life and gave me the support that I had longed for the entire time I had known them. And in my head, I thought maybe he had changed. I wanted to give him the benefit of the doubt because I know that we are capable of change. And so I opened up my heart. And in this case, which was the first time, I actually moved in with him, which makes it all the much more harder to leave. Quickly, that honeymoon period ended, and I knew I had to go. By the end of 2022, I had made the decision that I had to leave. It's not so simple calling it quits when you don't have your own space. Living under the same roof with nowhere to go, I felt like a failure. I thought back and said, I made it 3 years without going back into this. Why? Why did I do this? How could I fall for these games yet again? And as difficult as it was, I knew I had to go. And it took a few tries, and I'll tell you about a funny one. It wasn't funny in the moment, but I find it funny to think about now. So I live in New York, and Niagara Falls is about 6 hours away from here. And this was right around Christmas. And I said, my kids don't need to feel this pain. So I'm going to make this really fun for them. And we're going to go to Niagara Falls today. And that's how I'm going to leave. It's going to be day one. And so who wants to take a 6-hour drive? Not 3 kids under 8. No. So in my head, I kept telling them, oh, we're on vacation. We're going on vacation. And the boys are like, are we, Mom? Are we going on vacation? What are you doing? And in my mind, I said, we just got to get there. We've got to get there. And I came back into reality and I said, I don't even have my license. What am I going to do in Niagara Falls in December with no license? Are we going to camp out in my car? This was not well planned. So at some point, about 3 hours in, I just admitted defeat and I went home. So funny situation looking back. In the moment, it was just desperation coming through. And I still haven't made it to Niagara Falls, but maybe I will soon. So I actually got out. I think it was the 4th time that I packed those boys into the car and I took my dirty laundry hampers. That's all I took. And we left. And of course, that laundry did get to the laundromat at some point, so it did become clean. Woo! That's hard to keep up with to this day. So the first place we landed was a cheap hotel. There was nothing glamorous about this place. I didn't know what my future held. I didn't know how we would survive, and I didn't know where we would go to next. I had no money. I had credit card debt, and I had nothing to show for the years that I had spent with this person. So I took the boys' clean clothes and I kept them in my van, but without enough space, I stored my clothes in a filing cabinet at my job. Remember that. Really, in the midst of all this, the only thing keeping me going was my gratitude. I was doing what was best for these 3 boys, even if we had nothing. And then that's when I saw the shift. As soon as that burden was taken off of my shoulders, I was able to open up to really amazing things. I was able to tap into resources that I didn't even know existed. And in the nonprofit space, I thought I knew everything, but I was able to find assistance with housing specifically because I left a domestic violence situation. And then I found an apartment, and it was the only apartment I could find. And I could not afford it, but I had that security deposit. So I said, let's go. Let's do it. I didn't know what I was going to put in the apartment other than that laundry. But as soon as I moved in, everyone showed up. People came together to help my family. My entire apartment was furnished: couches, kitchenware, towels, lamps, a huge TV, everything in the home. So every item in my home to this day is now a reminder of that kindness that exists in the world. Gratitude fills my space, and every piece of furniture tells a story of generosity and gives me a deeper appreciation for my struggles and for the people who came into my life to help me rebuild. A few months after I left, I hit another wall. I was told that I couldn't get a family court lawyer for free and that I had to figure it out on my own. In that moment, I still found something to be grateful for. My boss recognized the emotional toll, and she gave me 2 weeks off to focus on my mental health and plan my next steps. And during that time, not only did I find a lawyer, but I also received an unexpected job offer that would change my life. There was some guilt involved in receiving a job offer while I was given time off, but that's just something I had to work through because I couldn't turn that down. Okay, now the clothes are coming back. And one of the most important moments of this short part of my long journey, I went back to my old job a few months after I started my new job. And I met with my staff, and we were preparing for my replacement to start. So I opened up all the filing cabinets and I pulled one open, and luckily my staff wasn't there with me because the first thing I saw was my laundry, and I broke down and cried because I could feel the weight of how far I had come in just 7 months. I left nothing, and I built a life filled with love, stability, hope, and a community around me. This reminded me how powerful gratitude is. It's not just about those good things, but it's about recognizing how far we've come. And that laundry was how far I'd come. And so as I look back, I see so much to be grateful for: love, kindness, and a community that helped me to rebuild. I'm grateful for the people who supported me when I had nothing to offer. And I'm most grateful for the strength I've been able to find in myself to keep going, even when the path seemed unclear. I don't know for sure where I would be if I had stayed, but I do know that the pain I went through and the losses I experienced were not in vain. They were the very things that prepared me to be here, standing in front of you all today and sharing my story. Gratitude is a powerful tool. It is not just a feeling, it is a choice. It is a mindset that can transform your perspective and help you find blessings even in the midst of your greatest trials. I'm reading I can see the comments, sorry. I just want to say, in case it's pertinent to anyone out there, on average, it takes a woman 7 times to leave an abusive situation. Sorry for tearing up. Even in those struggles, you will find your growth. You will find your gratitude. And gratitude is a free resource that can change your entire life. So for you who this resonates with, you are surrounded by love. You are not alone. And I promise you, when you start looking for things to be grateful for, no matter how small, they will start to show up everywhere. Gratitude is around you, and you are gratitude. And as I sit here today, reflecting on my journey, I'm deeply aware of one thing: healing is not a destination, it is a process. And while gratitude was the thread that helped me through, it wasn't the only tool I needed to heal. There are emotional, physical, and mental needs that must be met in order for us to truly begin healing and rebuilding our lives. When I was in the thick of my struggles, I didn't know about healing. I didn't have any guide through the pain. But over time, and through joining groups and through investing in myself, I've discovered that healing isn't just about getting past it or over it. It's about being intentional in the steps that you take to rebuild your sense of safety, self-worth, and empowerment. It's about nurturing your mind and body and aligning yourself in a way that allows your nervous system to heal. And that's why I created the resilience path that you will be receiving today. So this path is a framework that I've developed through my own experience and through learning from experts, mentors, and other women who have walked similar paths to mine. It's designed to help women create a solid foundation for both emotional and physical healing. And I'm sharing this with you as an inclusion with my free community because I believe every woman deserves to heal fully, not just physically, but emotionally and spiritually as well. Healing is not a straight line. It is a journey that involves patience, grace, and the willingness to meet yourself where you are. I hope as you move forward in your own healing journey, you will remember that gratitude is just the beginning. By tending to your physical and emotional needs, by creating safety, by seeking connection, and by practicing mindfulness, you can begin to rebuild a life filled with your strength, purpose, and joy. And if you can take only one thing from my talk today, just let it be this. You are not alone. Your path to healing starts with you, but it is not a path you have to walk by yourself. And you have the power to create the life you deserve one day at a time.
I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
I truly am. You know a little bit about my story getting out of an abusive marriage in 2015. And one of the questions I got asked so many times was, why did you stay so long? Can I tell you, that's a stupid question, y'all. Don't ask that.
Don't ask that question. Yes, you can't
Don't
know
ask that freaking question.
until
You
you've
have
been there.
no idea. You have no idea. And I had so many thoughts and so many questions I was prepared to talk to you about. And now I'm just in awe of you and how you continue to show up and fight for you and your boys and your life. And now you get to go on this journey to help other women know that they are not alone. Tara in the chat said some things about that, and Dr. Lynn, and people saying how much they needed to hear your story. And I think for a lot of people, when we hear somebody say, oh, they got out of the domestic abuse situation, where we have something in our mind of what that looks like based on our own experience. But my experience is very different than what your experience was. They're all different. And so trying to come at it from a place of understanding and compassion and grace and how can I help? The idea of what you shared about your home being filled with everything of gratitude. One of the things that happened in my world was after I got out, and some of you may know this story, but most of you probably don't. I got out in 2015 and 2017. We had a situation in our family happened that was the worst thing I've ever had happen to me. I wasn't I use the analogy sometimes and I say sometimes it's your train wreck and sometimes you're just on the train and it's not even your thing, but it affects you. And this was somebody else's train. I was just a passenger. And it was literally the worst thing that ever happened to me. But the people that came around to help, I call them my hands. So if you ever see pictures of hands or hear me talking about hands, it's because in that moment, the people that were in my life, they came around and they were my hands. They carried me through that situation that I could not have made it through on my own. And continue to look for the hands, be the hands, be the person that shows up when something goes wrong and you see somebody that needs something and you have it to give if you can. If you can't give, share the information with somebody that you think that could. Um, I love God and I pray and I'll tell people I'm going to pray for you. And I see that online so much time. I'm praying for you. I'm like, are you though? Are you though? And so if you say you're going to pray for somebody, please do. And then maybe check back. I'm not super great at this, but sometimes just check back and say, hey, I know it's been a few months since this thing happened, especially if somebody has lost a family member, then checking back because in the middle of all this happening or whatever the trauma is, everybody's around helping, but several months from then, they still need some support. I am honored. You did so good. I'm so proud of you. I know you don't need me to be proud of you, but I cannot wait to see how your community grows, how you're able to help connect in the world, and how you're gonna keep shining. Okay, hold on, hold on. Let's see. My head has been bobbing an agreement over here. somebody on the YouTube, and then that's like asking someone in recovery why they aren't drinking, right? About how long, why haven't you left? If you go somewhere and they're like, ask you if you want to drink, and they're like, no, I don't drink. And they're like, why don't you drink? And my son doesn't drink, and he'll tell, well, I'm sober 7 years. And they're like, oh, dude, sorry, I didn't mean to. Yeah, anyway. Let me see if there's any other comments and questions in here. Covert narcissist had me mentally locked for 14 years. Yeah. She didn't even know it was yeah, there's so much. And so I'm just glad that you were strong and brave and left, even if it had taken 20 times. Is there anything we can do for you at the beginning of your journey? Other maybe joining your community, going through some of the stuff and hanging out with you. Is there anything we can do to help support you?
No, I'm just really grateful that I got to say that out loud.
It's pretty
Like
amazing.
you don't run around talking about it. And I wanted to do that in a way that was respectful to the father of my children. So I did try to take care for that because my children are involved in this situation. But I just appreciate the ability to talk and to get it out there. And I just hope that if even one person needed to hear that and they were here today, then I feel blessed.
Thank you, Rachel. And your information and everything is in the digital participants guide as well. And anybody, if you have questions, she is in Safe Heart Connection, so feel free to chat her up there too. Join her community if you can, if you have space for that, especially if it's something where you really resonate with what she's doing in the world. And I'm just so glad you're here.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Rachel.